The story, the NFL story is what we're going to talk about now. That's what I'm going to start off with, okay? Time to educate all of y'all. Daycare is fucking open, you know. Let's get started. Let's get popping. Oh, I got to cover the Jen Psaki response to Joe Rogan video too. That one's so fucking cringe. Oh, it's on the lineup. All right, perfect. Let's do it.
Joined by Brian Flores, who was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins for the last several years, who was released last month and has filed, as of yesterday, a lawsuit against the National Football League about its hiring practices. Also, here are his attorneys, Doug Wigdor and John Alefterakis. Yes. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
And Brian, let's just jump in. We have 20 minutes here, so we will be able to cover a lot of ground, and we are delighted. You filed this lawsuit, which you are aware is obviously going to have enormous repercussions. What was the tipping point for you, through your experiences, that made you feel this was something you needed to do?
Well, I mean, just, you know, I've been on, you know, several interviews over the years. And look, I mean, we didn't have to file a lawsuit for the world to know that there's an issue from a hiring and firing practices in the National Football League.
Why, that's correct. A lot of people have pointed this out. So why did you feel you needed to do this?
Because we need change. That was the number one reason. And I know there's a sacrifice, there's risk to that, but at the end of the day, we need change. We need change. I know many very capable black coaches, some of my staff who I know, if given an opportunity or when given an opportunity, are going to go and do a great job on their interview.
The NFL is comprised of an athlete base that is 70% black. So on the field, 70% of the players are black. Okay? 70%. Out of the, I guess, 27 coaches, there's only one black head coach. And from what I understand, and goddamn, I am such a sports ball Andy right now, but Brian Flores has 32 coaches. Oh, sorry. 32 coaches, 5 teams without a head coach currently, only one black head coach, okay? And only 2 non-black or non-white head coaches other than that. There's one Lebanese coach, and then there is one Puerto Rican coach. So other than that, every other fucking team is coached by a white dude, okay? Now, this conversation is really fucking annoying because immediately people are like, oh, you want to fucking hire someone just on the basis of them being black? It's like, no, but also, if you are to tell me that there is not a single good black coach that is good enough that, like, you know, there are fucking 5 teams with no head coach at the moment. You're really telling me that there's not like one fucking good black coach? I mean, Brian Flores literally was a winning coach.
You look cute as hell.
Okay. Who got fired? The lawsuit is comprised of like, there's a couple different things going on right now. Okay, so we're gonna unpack these different elements of this lawsuit because one of them is about racism, which goes against the Rooney Rule that the NFL has, which they established in 2003, and that's like the classic lip service, like aesthetic liberalism, diversity quota rule that they passed in 2003, which dictates that every, that requires league teams to interview ethnic minority candidates for head coaching and senior football operation jobs. And it's like an affirmative action principle, basically, but it's just lip service. It's just lip service. And his experience that he is going to describe here, before we get to him, actually, I think we'll do the refresher here. That's like a lot better to probably go through the details. His experience with Bill Belichick kind of proves that the Rooney Rule is simply just a fucking basic lip service for liberals, aesthetic liberalism moment. Okay? The second part of it is, as Jarvis points out here, the second part of the problem is that in order to get a better fucking pick in the draft, the Florida Dolphins, the Dolphins wanted to, or Miami Dolphins, Florida Dolphins, the Dolphins wanted to fucking lose. Okay, so they wanted to pay him to lose. They wanted to pay him $100K in bonuses for every loss in 2019. I said Florida Dolphins. So they have a better draft spot. Okay, and then they fired him because he was winning too much. So we'll talk about that part of it as well. So let's sports talk boy equals yes. Yeah, I mean. Here, let's just continue. Brian Flores is also the only Dolphins coach since 2003 to have consecutive winning seasons. It's not even about racial quotas or anything. It's literally just not only picking white people. Lamau, how do people think that that's normal, but hiring a single black person is going too far? Racism. Let's continue.
Claiming racial discrimination in pro football. Former Miami Dolphins coach Brian Flores is suing the NFL and 3 teams claiming, quote, in certain critical ways, the NFL is racially segregated and is managed much like a plantation.
Spare me the shock. Don't be shocked that this is going on.
Yeah, I mean, it is shocking, guys. Guys, you might be shocked to find out that the NFL is racist. Oh, fuck. I'm so surprised. I mean, goddamn, dude. The NFL fan base, well, at least certain parts of the fan base is racist as shit, as we saw with the whole Black Lives Matter movement with Colin Kaepernick. And the NFL team owners are obviously, a part of that. Even when they're trying to be anti-racist, like the Raiders guy, the Raiders billionaire with the weirdest haircut on the fucking planet, it's still a gigantic hit and a miss. What's the fucking a swing and a miss? Sorry. What's the Yeah, no, we're gonna talk about Jets in a second. Will and I had this conversation earlier today, and it was pretty funny. What was it? Mark Davis, when he fucking came out with like that dumbass tweet, like none of us can breathe or whatever. Anyway, we'll talk about it, but it's hilarious. Okay. This part. In certain critical ways, the NFL is racially segregated and is managed much like a plantation. Its 32 owners, none of whom are black, profit substantially from the labor of NFL players, 70% of whom are black. The owners watch the games from atop NFL stadiums in their luxury boxes, while their majority black workforce put their bodies on the line every Sunday, taking vicious hits and suffering debilitating injuries to their bodies and their brains, while the NFL and its owners reap billions of dollars. It's true. It is true. The NFL is incredibly exploitative. It's gotten better over the years, but it's still fucking horrible. Okay? The idea that the idea that they are standing in front of like actual fucking critical CTE research and because that means that it'll hurt their fucking bottom line when we find out that being concussed every goddamn weekend is probably not good for you, and it ends up making you do mass murders because your brain is fucking broken. That's not good for the NFL. So we can't have that.
You're happy for them. Then offer to babysit sometime.
They farm Pop Warner Little Leagues too. It's fucked. Yeah, I mean, of course they do. So, yeah, the NFL to the CTE is like ExxonMobil with climate change. Like, they've known for a very long time, and they fucking have stood in front of it for a very long time. Oh, here, this was the Raiders tweet. I can breathe. Oh, God. Anyway, this is when you're trying to be... This is the least racist NFL owner, by the way.
Turn it up.
Ah! That's what he looks like. Billionaire, by the way. Flies in his private jet to get that haircut, by the way. Personally. Okay, so let's continue.
Dolphins fired Flores last month after back-to-back winning seasons, but the team failed to make the playoffs. The lawsuit even accuses Dolphins owner Stephen Ross of offering to pay Flores $100,000 for every loss during the 2019 season to secure a higher draft pick.
There are a lot of accusations that obviously he has been holding on to, and he decided that he was going to file that lawsuit, which was filed today, again, seeking unspecified damages.
Flores also claims the NFL and certain teams discriminated against him and other black coaches, saying he was subjected to sham interviews, only held so teams could satisfy league rules about interviewing minority candidates. The complaint revealed.
And that's precisely what happened. Like, it's exactly what happened. He got a text message from Bill Belichick that thought that he thought he was texting the right Brian, or the other dude who ended up getting the fucking position over him a week before he actually interviewed for the position. It was like, yeah, congratulations on your new position, okay? And he went in. Yeah, Brian DeBool, I don't know how you say it, whatever. He went into the fucking interview knowing that he hadn't gotten the position. How crazy is that? Dable? Okay, I don't care.
Reveals text messages Flores received from Patriots coach Bill Belichick last week, where Belichick indicates the Giants already gave the head coaching job to another white coach 3 days before Flores was scheduled to interview with the team.
The fact that you have to have a rule to interview minority coaches is a problem. That's the problem. It's to create this whole utopia that everybody is equal in the NFL.
70% of NFL players are black, but there are no black owners, and after Flores' firing, only one black head coach. In a statement, the NFL said it will defend, quote, against these claims, which are...
It's just pretty funny because, like, they fired the one black coach for being too good.
...are without merit, adding the NFL and our clubs are deeply committed to ensuring equitable employment practices. The teams named in the lawsuit include the Dolphins and Giants. They have denied any wrongdoing. There has been a long discussion about the...
How exactly does the NFL know that it is without merit? Anyway, let's continue. Hold on.
Discrepancy between how many black players are on the field and the number of black coaches. And there's been a push to get more diversity in the coaching departments, in the front office. And so now we have lawsuits for a coach that's come out saying I have 2 winning seasons and we're not getting equal opportunity as black coaches.
Yeah, he says he knows he's possibly risking his career by doing this, but he wants to make sure that his stance against systemic racism will lead to positive change for generations to come. So we will see.
We'll be following that story.
God damn, it's so loud. George Stephanopoulos, you loud bitch. So we already talked about the Rooney Rule. The rule is named after Dan Rooney, the former owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers and former chairman of the league's diversity committee. It was created as a reaction to the 2002 firing of head coaches Tony Dungy of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Dennis Green of the Minnesota Vikings at a time when Dungy had a winning record and Green had just had his first losing season in 10 years. Shortly afterwards, U.S. civil rights attorneys, hold on. Cyrus Mary and Johnny Cochran released a study showing that black head coaches, despite winning a higher percentage of games, were less likely to be hired and more likely to be fired than their white counterparts. So it's not even like this is not new to the NFL. Like, they literally set this bullshit ass rule up specifically for this fucking reason. Okay? I'm going to say all the names wrong. I don't know anything about football other than stuff like this, and I find it very funny and interesting when stuff like this happens. Okay? So yeah, when the Rooney Rule came out, there were 3 black head coaches, and now there is 1. So I don't know if it worked, bro. I don't know if the rule worked. And here is former Cincinnati Bengals head coach Marvin Lewis seconding Brian Flores' claim that black coaches were receiving sham interviews for NFL teams. Lewis says he interviewed for the Carolina Panthers when John Fox had already been picked.
The job, and I can recall that we had lost to the Steelers in the second round of the playoffs, and I remember sitting home on Monday, and I think it was Chris Mortensen or someone else reported that Foxy would be named the head coach of the Panthers on Friday. And when I went to work Tuesday, Brian came in and said, "Hey, I just got off the phone with Ozzy, and the Panthers want you to come down and interview for the job." I said, "Coach, I just heard last night on TV that they're going to name Foxy the coach on Friday." He said, so he goes back, he talks to Ozzy, talks to the people, and I end up.
He was not fired because he won too much, as that was 3 seasons ago. He was fired because he wanted a new QB, but ownership did not.
Going down to Charlotte and so forth and meeting with the Richardson family, and they said that wasn't true and so forth, and they named John the head coach on Friday. So
this is just another queer fighter pilot argument. It does nothing for the working class. What? Do we need more black owners so they can extort money for the new stadiums out of cities? Fuck the whole thing. So I've talked about this before. Like representative politics that specifically pluck like a singular person from a marginalized background and elevate them are band-aid solutions, okay? And that the ultimate goal is still to offer material restitution and provide material equality, okay, to all Americans, to all workers around the world, right? So a lot of this stuff is just aesthetic liberalism, okay? It's just purely aesthetic liberalism. It doesn't really do anything. It is just, you're just like looking out singularly for whatever individual is actually good for that job. But it doesn't matter because like when we're talking about coaching positions, when we're talking about coaching positions, when we're talking about like front office positions, executive positions, management positions, like it does address a need, right? If 70% of your workforce, your primary labor force is black, and then you have no fucking black people in managerial positions or very little black people in managerial positions, and you don't have any black people in like executive positions or ownership positions, then, they're not going to address any of the needs of their workforce from the point of view of like systemic racism or discrimination that they're facing. So it's still like a minor step towards progress. It's not the end all be all of progress. I'll never say that. Oh man, if we have more black coaches, like that's going to be so much better. Like it's not. That's not the final solution for racism, right? But it's still a step towards. Ultimately making the labor force or understanding the desires and needs of your labor force. Okay, that's what I mean. Because you're just adding. Don't say final solution. Oh, sorry. Okay, well, you know what I mean. This happened in Tampa in 2010, Detroit in 2017, and Arizona in 2018. NFL teams routinely fire competent or good black coaches to hire mediocre to bad white ones.
Another month of avoiding the top of the hour ad.
It's almost like how there are communities that are 85% black or more, and the police for the community are 95% white. Wanting more black cops while wanting less policing is still a good thing. No. I think wanting more cops from the neighborhood that they police is a little bit different than just saying we want more black cops. More often than not, that means that they will be from the same neighborhoods. But no, more black cops or a more diverse police force is not going to end police brutality. It's a little bit different because the relationship between cops and the people that they police are a contentious one, whereas the relationship between a coach and its players is not. Thank you, Coffee Dave, for the 5 get the subs. Thank you, Burkini Kill, for the 5 get the subs. Having more black cops does not address issues of police brutality. Having more cops come from the same community that they're policing, however, it won't end police brutality, but it will eliminate some of the police brutality. Don't say nope. That's 100% true. Okay. It's a fundamental part of community policing. It's a fundamental part of what do you call it? It's a fundamental part of like actually policing your own neighborhood. It just straight up. If you're from that community, you don't fucking treat every single person that you are supposedly policing like an occupying force, okay? Anyway, And no, POC cops are not nicer in general. Like I said, police should absolutely be from the districts that they are policing. Okay, a big part of police brutality comes from having these fucking cursory neighborhoods where all the cops live in, which is an entirely separate district that is getting all the fucking taxpayer funded salaries to pump into a completely different district that now has way better fucking schooling, way better education. They're outsiders that are policing a community without recognizing the underlying needs of that community. That is the big issue. POC cops don't actually, if they're still in those fucking reactionary neighborhoods, they still behave like fucking invading, occupying forces. Doesn't matter. And in a lot of instances, POC cops will then turn around and fucking, overcompensate for their background too. So it's not, it's not about that at all. Okay, let's just continue with this.
I don't know. Again, that's the situation I was in. But you have to go and prove that you're worthy to become the head coach. And and it's you're appreciative of the opportunity. But what was supposedly going to happen ended up happening in that case for sure.
Don't you think that would increase the corruption rate if every cop lives in the district? What? No. What corruption rate? Policing as an institution is fundamentally fucking broken in our capitalist organization of the economy, okay? That's number one. So you have to do a fucking complete overhaul of the way policing works currently. What I'm simply suggesting as far as like having people be from the fucking neighborhoods that they actually police would be a small step towards actual tangible progress, not necessarily solving the problem itself.
What's up, my man?
But it's not one that you can solve with like, oh, more black cops. That's going to solve the issue. But if you're talking about corruption, like the institution is corrupt from the top down, okay? Speaking of the top of the hour ad break is not a corrupt institution, especially when you have a counterforce against it, which is, of course, the $5 a month subscription. Now, of course, some of you don't have $5 a month to pay for the subscription, but at least you have Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get one free Prime subscription a month. And even if you don't have that, maybe you're lucky enough to get gifted a sub, like one of the 5 that Coffee Dave or Burkini Kill just gifted. Okay? But if you're not lucky, you got to make your own luck by stealing someone else's Amazon Prime and connecting it to your Twitch account. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. Let's continue with the story.
I just want to say thank you. So last week, I interviewed for the Giants position. I was set to interview on Thursday, the Monday prior. Before I interviewed, I received a text message from Bill Belichick saying congratulations on the Giants, essentially congratulations on the Giants job. There was a little bit of back and forth.
How fucking sad is that? Sounds like you've landed. Congrats. Did you hear something I didn't hear? Giants? I interview on Thursday. Womp womp. I think I have a shot at it.
There was some back and forth and
some confusion because you haven't sat down with the Giants yet.
Have not sat down with the
Giants. Got it. I hear from Buffalo and NYG that you are their guy. Hope it works out if you want it too. That's definitely what I want. Hope you're right, Coach. Thank you. Coach, are you talking to Brian Flores or Brian DeBall? Just making sure.
Back and forth, and I asked him, "Is you talking to the right Brian?" And as you've seen through the text messages, he was actually thought he was texting Brian Daboll,
who they ended up hiring.
Yes, sir.
So at that point, how did that make you feel, knowing that you were walking into an interview where a decision might have already been made?
It was a range of emotions: humiliation, disbelief, anger. I've worked so hard to get to where I am in football, to become a head coach. Put 18 years in this league, and it was to go on what was going to be what felt like, or what was a sham interview. I was hurt. And,
but you wouldn't knowing.
Dude, it's so fucking sad. Can you imagine? You're like a fucking successful coach. You have an awesome opportunity. Okay, you think that this like institution wants you. You think this fucking institution wants you. You think you're like going up for a position and they're going to do what's right and like give you the time of day and actually interview you. Meanwhile, the position has already been fucking hired and they're only interviewing you because of some fucking lip service thing called the Rooney Rule. Like they're literally only interviewing you because you're black for like a second. How fucking disgusting is that, dude? Like, that sucks. That absolutely fucking sucks.
That you probably weren't going to get it. Why did you continue to go?
I think
Flores wasn't even a bad head coach. He wanted Justin Herbert or QB, but management took Tua Tagovailoa, and then Stephen Ross, Miami Dolphins owner, wanted Tom Brady in free agency, which Flores didn't want to do because it would have been tampering. Management wanted to get rid of Flores because they wanted Deshaun Watson, while Flores didn't want him. After they fired Flores, Ross came out and blamed them going after Watson on Flores. Dude, that's too much sports stuff. I don't. That you're giving me too much sports ball shit, bro. Come on.
Maybe it's call it the audacity of hope. I have a belief that there's good in people. I just do.
We knew he wasn't getting that job. On the day before that Giants interview, we reached out to you, CBS, to all of you, to start talking about doing this interview today because we knew he wasn't getting the job. We knew it was a setup. We knew they were just trying to comply with the Rooney Rule. We started drafting the complaint, and here we are.
The Giants say they're pleased and confident in the hiring process. I get the sense from the lawsuit and from you right now that you had a feeling like, here we go again. This wasn't the first time you felt discriminated against in the league. Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, the Rooney Rule is intended to, give minorities an opportunity to sit down in front of ownership. But I think what it's turned into is an instance where guys are just checking the box. And that's been the case. I've been on some interviews in the past that where I've had that feeling. There's always no way to know for sure, but And I know I'm not alone there.
Have to have the Rooney Rule. Isn't that a problem? What were we going to say?
It's absolutely. I'm sorry. It's absolutely a problem. And one of the things that we're doing to help effectuate this change is, the Rooney Rule's tied to the assumption that presidents, owners are going to do the right thing, hire the best, most qualified candidate. Yeah. What we want to do is tie, certain things to performance and action through this.
But Brian, the reason the timing is really important here because you're actually up for 2 additional NFL jobs right now.
Yeah.
So why did you do this knowing from your own statement that you may have sacrificed your future in the NFL and you're a young man?
Yeah. Well, I let both the teams know that, we're gonna file. But look, I love coaching. I'm gifted to coach. I know that. And the relationships I've built with players, coaches, support staff, I'm gifted to coach, and I love coaching, and I want to coach.
And I've heard from reliable sources you're a very good coach. Let the
No
record
doubt
show.
Always room for improvement, but I like to think that as well. But this is bigger than coaching.
Of course.
This is much bigger than coaching.
Now, we'll get back to the lawsuit in regards to the Broncos and the Giants, but I want to talk about the Miami Dolphins for a second. You make claims that you were offered $100,000 for each game this team lose. Subsequently, to get a better draft pick. Kind of speak on that, because you don't hear about that going on behind closed doors. I'm a former player. I know you as a coach. You want to win.
There's no shot he gets a job after this, right? Like, it's just like the NFL's not rigged. Copium is silly. Like, the NFL is rigged in the sense that, like, teams throwing fucking games is unacceptable. He will definitely be blackballed. Teams throwing games is unacceptable, but like teams playing poorly specifically so they can like get better draft picks, I thought that was like a known thing, right? Owners are good old boys with a fraternity. Same reason why Kaepernick got blackballed. They pay to lose stuff. We'll get the most action because of the gambling partnerships. Maybe as a coordinator, but he'll never be a head coach. But he knew that going in, and that's why it's a brave move.
Win. I walk in that locker room. I want to win. I don't hear people from the front office and above making those type of decisions that can change the outcome of your coaching career.
Look, this game's done a lot for me. I grew up not far from here in the projects in Brownsville, Brooklyn. I didn't grow up with a lot. This game, changed my life. So to attack the integrity of the game, that's what I felt was happening in that instance, and I wouldn't stand for it.
And that was Dolphins owner Stephen Ross.
Yes. Yes. So.
And you think it hurt your career?
I think it hurt my standing within the organization, and ultimately was the reason why I was let go.
Well, word on the street now, though, Brian, is that either you torpedoed your career, that this is the craziest thing you could have done, or that it's very brave and very bold of you to do. How are you feeling? Are you?
I mean, he definitely torpedoed his career, and it's also a brave and bold thing to do.
Almost a year. Love you, chat. Hasan, you
Flores also alleges that he interviewed the Broncos in 2019, but John Elway and the owner were drunk as fuck and obviously weren't taking the interview seriously. Another toke interview to satisfy the Rooney Rule.
Peace with your decision, and was this a very difficult decision for you to make, to file a lawsuit before you have a job?
I understand the risk, and yes.
Wait, from what I understand, didn't they put a fucking shitty roster together? Okay, look, this is the extent of my sports ball knowledge. But from what I understand, yes, tanking is usually more discreet. Usually it's purposely putting together a shitty roster and having the losses pile up naturally. Except they did that in Florida, and he still fucking coached the shitty roster too well. And that's why he was like, dude, I'll give you more money, allegedly.
It was a difficult decision. And
so they could get better draft picks.
And like I said, I love coaching. I do. It's something that I'm passionate about. It brings me joy. And I love helping young people reach their potential and become the best versions of themselves. I'm gifted to do that.
Brian.
But this is bigger than that.
I mean, can I just say, in 2022, the fact that we don't have one black owner, we only have one black head coach.
That's actually I want to touch on.
Really, Brian needs to be applauded for stepping forward to be the first person to really contest it. It's been talked about.
Well, you've heard the statement
but now he has stepped forward to challenge it.
You've heard the statement from the NFL, in a statement, diversity is core to everything we do. There are a few issues on which our clubs and our internal teams spend more time on.
Yeah, they've acknowledged their problems. The executives there have acknowledged their problems. Now the PR team is trying to spin something. They could take two different paths. They could take the path of trying to defend and litigate, or we hope that they take the path of actually trying to correct things, to be an example not only...
What is this? Oh my God, is that fucking...
There are a lot of black players, there are a lot of great black baseball men who would dearly love to be in managerial positions. And I guess what I'm really asking you is to, peel it away a little bit. Just tell me, why do you think it is? Is there still that much prejudice in baseball today?
No, I don't believe it's prejudice. I truly believe that they may not have some of the necessities to be, let's say, a field manager or perhaps a general manager.
You really believe that?
Well, I don't say that they're all of them, but they certainly are short. How many quarterbacks do you have? How many pitchers do you have that are black? It's same
yeah, but I mean, I got to tell you, that sounds like the same kind of garbage we were hearing 40 years ago about players when they were saying, not really cut out. You remember the days, they hit a black football player in the knees, and no, that really sounds like garbage if you forget to say so.
It's not garbage, Mr. Koppel, because I played on a college team, and the center fielder was black. And then the backfield at NYU with...
Yeah, he's got black friends, bro. It's not racist. He played with other black players, dude. Everybody knows you can't be fucking racist if you've been around black people, famously.
The fullback who was black never knew the difference of whether he was black or white. We were teammates. So
what are we supposed to get out of what he just said? So he knows black people are incapable? Is that what he's saying? He's like, no, it's not garbage. I've been around black people, so I know for a fact that they can't fucking they don't have what it takes to be a general manager. I'm an expert, dude. That's what he's saying. That's his argument. He's just, oh my God.
It just might be that why are black men or black people not good swimmers? Because they don't have the buoyancy.
Hassle, thankful.
Wait, what?
Father Arjan.
Black people don't have the buoyancy? What the fuck? Are you serious? What the fuck? That is yo. That's some good old-fashioned old school racism, dude. He was like, let me crank up the racism dial to the maximum degree before getting off the show. He was like, I didn't say enough. He's like, I didn't say enough in the beginning part. I think I couldn't make myself clear. Let me just crank it out to 11 before. Oh, fuck. It's in my hand now. I broke it. Oh, God damn it. Yo, his apple pie must taste amazing. Oh, yeah, dude. 100%. That's awesome. That's crazy. Dude, that's a fucking joke from the South related to slave ship jumpers. Holy shit. I can't tell if he's joking or if he unironically believes that like black people are more dense and less buoyant and therefore can't swim well, or if he was just like straight up making a joke. Anyway, it's a statistical impossibility that NFL head coaches would be this white at random, no different than if you woke up tomorrow and 50% of the NHL coaches were black. Also, the overwhelming arrogance of white folks to believe we rose to the top of every industry on merit alone is unfathomable.
I was thinking about going down this.
This is what Nick Wright said.
I had two different avenues that I was thinking about going down this. And you talked me out of going down the one that my gut was. My gut was, I'm going to prove it to you mathematically. I've got the Bayes theorem at my disposal. We can do the numbers on percentage of players that become coaches, and the statistical impossibility that if it's random, if it's fair, if it's just meritocracy, that we would have one team currently coached by a black guy, that the last two hiring cycles, 16 jobs have been open, one was filled by a black guy, and that guy was summarily fired. And a lot of people thought he was hired to be fired in David Culley. But I don't know if people want math this early in the morning. So instead, I'm going to go to the more emotional reaction, which is this. If you woke up tomorrow and half of the head coaches in the NHL were black, would that strike you as a little odd? It's like, well, how did that happen? The league is, 2% black and half the head coaches are black. If you woke up tomorrow and half of professional hockey's coaches were black, would you think, well, there must be some type of sustained effort or something, but not just a meritocracy that is happening that is leading to this? Of course you would, because it's unimaginable. But that is exactly what is happening in the NFL on a statistical basis, as far as to have 70% of the league in a league where the vast majority of head coaches and coordinators played at least at the collegiate level, to have this minute amount of representation. And it is the most frustrating thing for me, Wilds, is this, that the response to anything like this from folks that don't want to see what is clearly in front of their faces, well, you just want to hire the best person for the job. Of course you do. Of course you do. But it is the implication, and you see this across fields.
I mean, I 100% agree with him. I don't know what this dude's background is, but like, I do 100% agree with him that it's like, it's ridiculous to assume that like there's not like the assumption that comes along with like looking at the NFL coaches and the demographics is that like, oh no, they definitely got there because they're the fucking best of the best. That's ridiculous. It's an entire system that exists everywhere in this country, for the record. It's an entire system where like you don't get elevated into lower coaching positions. And then if there are less lower coaches, like less like, I don't know, fucking offensive coaches, defensive coaches, whatever the fuck, then less likely to have black head coaches, less likely to then elevate into even higher positions in management, right? General managers, stuff like that. That's precisely how this works. There is a end to your career as a black person who plays football. Your career is done. After you're done playing, you're done. You're completely done. It's ridiculous to assume that to assume that there's no future for. I mean, there aren't enough good black coaches. Like, it's just completely ridiculous.
That hey.
Holy shit, boo-hoo, I'm black and oppressed is this entire channel. I mean, we're quite literally talking about, you know, a very openly racist thing that happened in the NFL. But since you are most likely a racist piece of shit, it's just very difficult for you to comprehend that. You know? What are you going to do about it, dude? It must be really confusing. It must be really, really, really fucking confusing living in a world where, you know, very obvious that things are changing, but you're stuck in the old ways of thinking because you're dumbass, possibly related to one another, stupid fucking pure genetic gene pool parents shat you out in the fucking bathtub and then basically fucking educated you in that old way of thinking. So now your dumbass inbred ass is legitimately just confused and scared. So you're just like, oh man, black people are oppressed. I'm hearing it so much. Very pathetic. It'll be better though, one day. I'm a minority myself and don't cry about my setbacks for my race. Cry about being black more. I don't know if you know this, but I'm white. Careful, Asante said you can't be mean to Mayos. Yeah, I mean, seriously. Yeah, motherfuckers like, I'm a minority, probably ginger. Colin Kaepernick, A. Reed, Brian Flores, they went against the status quo, and for that, they will likely never work in the NFL again. This tells you everything, but at least the NFL did this. End racism. Stop hate. Let's go.
Why are white people, mostly white males, at the top of almost every field in America? Well, it must be a meritocracy. Like, say that thing out loud. Think about any industry. And it's like, even in sports, where you can't be like, well, you know, white people just have more access. No, black guys all over the league. And yet still, when it gets to, as Broussard said, the positions where it's like, okay, but we need a thinker. We need a real smart, cutting-edge guy. There's a clear ceiling on what the vast majority of NFL ownership believes black people are equipped to do. And it is undeniable, statistically, Wilds. And I do think it's going to take a seismic event like what Brian Flores is doing to potentially try to change the paradigm, because it's going in the wrong direction. The hiring cycles have gotten wider and wider, not more and more diverse over the last few years.
You want to know how that motherfucker is not like the dude that we just banned wasn't actually like a minority in the way that he's saying it? Because if you fucking experience any kind of marginalization from a dominant, oppressive majority, then you would recognize solidarity with others who, you know, see the same thing. You wouldn't turn around and be like, whatever, dude, I made it. Just shut the fuck up. Then, you know, you didn't experience it then. What is this one? Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Motherfucker was in here following since June 27, 2019. This is the one time he's like, now is my time to speak up. If black Americans make up 12% of the population and 12.5% of head coaches are black, isn't that expected representation? First of all, if you look at historically what percentage of fucking coaches are black, that doesn't even make sense. This is the exact same argument with this is the exact same fucking argument with black senators. Why is it so hard for fucking racists to like actually do math? Why? It does not make sense. Also, 70% of the players are black, dude. 70% of the players are black. And you can't even look at like an individual season in the league. You have to look at across the board, historically, since black people were allowed to play football. Okay? Like, when you look at it across the board throughout the history of the NFL. Yeah, and 1 out of 32 is not 12% either, but it doesn't even matter. It's just like it's so fucking idiotic to make this to make this assertion.
Only for the NFL, but for American society to lead by example.
When you talk about the owners, you got 31 white billionaires, and then the Packers have a special situation. 70% of the players are black. There's a power dynamic that's visible there. Yeah. In the lawsuit, there's this explosive line that the NFL is managed much like a plantation. That's a direct quote. Why did you decide to settle on that metaphor?
7 months.
I think. Look, we didn't have to file a lawsuit for
I'm gonna be
the
back.
world to know that there's a problem from a hiring standpoint in regards to minority coaches in the National Football League. The numbers speak for themselves.
Right.
We filed the lawsuit so that we could create some change, and that's important to me. I think we're at a fork in the road right now. We're either going to keep it the way it is, or we're going to go in another direction and actually make some real change where we're actually changing the hearts and minds of those who make decisions to hire head coaches, executives, et cetera. And that's where we got to get to. We got to change hearts and minds.
Brian, I heard someone say, but don't companies or clubs have the right to hire the person they think is the best qualified for the job or the person they feel is right for the job?
Whatever race they are.
Whatever race they are, yes.
They do, and that's very reasonable to me. But at the same time, I know a lot of very capable coaches, executives, minorities, coaches, executives who are minorities, and in a lot of cases are as qualified, more qualified, and quite frankly, better than their white counterparts.
But the difference here, though, is that
they're not given an equal opportunity.
Exactly.
And, when we talk about this fork in the road that the NFL has, and Gail, you talked about the statement that they released, denying and saying that they're going to defend. What was absent from their response to this 60-page complaint with serious allegations from a decorated head coach is, how about we'll investigate? We're troubled by this. We'll look into it. Immediate, no, denial, and disregard and defend.
Yeah. That part was really funny, that the NFL was like, oh, no, this is untrue. How do you know, motherfucker? You didn't even look into it. It took you 2 hours after the fucking lawsuit came out. You didn't even read it. You're just like, nope, not true. Oh, cool. Okay, got it. It's fine.
The point about the companies have the right to hire who they think is best qualified, we all agree with that. But the difference here, if what you're saying is true and you seem to have receipts, they knew ahead of time that you weren't going to get the job. So I'm thinking, why waste your time and theirs?
And the word minority is it's loaded because it has different connotations. Yeah. We might be marginalized in certain areas, but our contributions to this game, both on the field and outside of the lines, are immense. Yeah. And when you have quality coaches that are available, that are gifted and can lead teams but not getting the opportunity, that's why you are standing for what you're standing for. But I want you to have one last word.
Those are cold facts.
That's right. One last thing, I'll let you say this, but you still want to coach in this league.
I absolutely want to coach in this league, but I also know that I'm not the only story here.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one with a story to tell.
You're speaking up for decades of this going on and hopefully stopping it from happening.
There are people who have come before me, and I know there are others who have similar stories, and it's hard to speak out. It is. You're giving up, you're making some sacrifices, but this is bigger than football. This is bigger than coaching.
Thank you for using your voice. You're doing the right thing.
Thank you.
Yo, there we go. Black people make up 13% of the population, yet nearly 60% of the athletes in the NFL. But people in the NFL but still the NFL is systemically racist against black people. The system is conspiring to make them world famous millionaires. I'm so glad that Brian Flores is exposing the plot. Love that, dude. Fucking love that. Of course, the theocratic fascist. with the most incredibly predictable take, dude. I don't understand. Like, plantations are comprised 70% of black people. What the fuck? Guess what, Sweaty? Seems like we're, giving meaningful employment to black people in the antebellum South. So,
since my second year of college, and now I'm in my second year of med school. Lol. WT.
Good one, Matt. Good one, dude.
HasanAbi broadcast.
Okay. I'm gonna fucking listen to goddamn Skip Bayless and well, most importantly, Shannon Sharp. Okay. Where is it? I think I have this already. Being a Jets fan is realizing a rival coach was offered 100 stacks to let you win and you still couldn't pull it off. I commend Brian Flores. Hopefully other black coaches join this lawsuit and there's change. But how do you change a person's heart? The old saying is it's easier to build strong children than repair broken men. These owners are 60 plus. They're set in their ways and aren't changing. Oh, yeah.
It seems to me that you think always the best guy for the job happens to look like you. That's not an accident. But Skip, it's like that. Sports are a microcosm of society. That's how it normally works in society. It takes a special person to hire someone that doesn't look like them, that doesn't talk like them, that doesn't come from a similar background as them, or doesn't know someone that knew them. Yep. It takes a special person to do that. It does. And Brian Flores is saying, look, guys, you bringing me in, you had already hired Brian Daboll. You bringing me in was a sham. But what they do, Skip, is that you look at Josh McDaniels. He got the head coaching job. What'd he do? He bring his white GM with him. You see how they do that? Now, Byron Leftwich tried to do the exact same thing. He tried to bring Adrian Wilson. Nah, we ain't gonna let you do that. We want to keep Trent Baalke in here. After he done ruined.
Skip is baseless on these topics, on every topic.
San Francisco.
Even I know
he went to Jacksonville and ruined that. Nah, we're gonna keep the status quo. They're not gonna let you get too many. They're not gonna let you get too much power. Skip, I think sometimes is that we get a job and we like, man, I don't want to have too many of us. Because they're going to think a certain thing. Well, our counterparts never think like that. They never think, well, I bet I can't hire a white guy because they might think we got too many of us. That's just our thinking. That's the way we think. So you tip your hat to him, but in the end, Skip, you're asking an awful lot. You're asking an awful lot of this man when you got 32 billionaires that will stand united. Skip, I'm sure they bicker with each other. There are some that might not like each other. But when it comes to being attacked from the outside, ain't nothing breaking them. Nothing. But let me tell you what the NFL will do. The owners are going to say, you know what, we're doing the best we can. We'll let them put another slogan on their helmet. We'll put some slogan in the end zone. We'll hang something from the building to show that we have the symbolism, but nothing with teeth, nothing of substance. And that's what they do. They'll pacify you. Okay, we'll give you a month, but we ain't going to change anything. Okay, we'll give you some slogans, but nothing changes. Yeah. And Brian Flores is willing to risk, I believe, his coaching future in order to bring about change. And he said it, Skip, he understands. It might cost me my coaching career. But if
let's hear what Stephen A. Smith has to say about this, and then we're done.
Standpoint of courage. Because it takes a lot of courage to do what he's doing, and clearly he's not doing it just for himself. He is in pursuit with a class action lawsuit, basically inviting other coaches to come in and maybe and likely express themselves and show how the conditions which he feels that he's been subjected to is similar to what a lot of black coaches have been going through for quite some time. And we all know what my position has been as it pertains to African-American coaches, particularly in the National Football League. In college football is just as, if not more egregious, at least until recently. The NFL, what I've reminded people over the last few weeks, Keyshawn, is that the Rooney Rule was instituted in 2003. When the Rooney Rule was instituted, essentially compelling you to at least interview African-American coaches and give them something close to a
The Rooney Rule is so perfect, dude. It's so fucking perfect. It's such a perfect representation of the fucking bullshit lip service, okay? They're like, oh, are we just like, did we just figure out that, teams happen to fire black coaches despite their higher level of success? Or teams happen to fire black coaches at a disproportionate rate when they're fucking successful? Yeah, we'll just like, we'll make sure that we just give, we'll just interview like more black people for the position. That's it. It's like it is such a classic like liberal bullshit fucking lip service thing. Classic.
As high.
Stephen A. Smith is racist towards Asians the way white coaches in the NFL are racist towards blacks. He's not worth listening to. Bro, he's a sports commentator, okay? I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, but I'm just not surprising. If he is, it doesn't matter to me right now, okay? Also, love that you just dropped the blacks in there. AZN identity, Andy, okay?
A fair and
let's
equitable
continue.
opportunity. There were 3 African-American coaches in the National Football League. We are 19 years removed from the institution and implementation of the Rooney.
He had a bad take on Otani, but I think he apologized. Oh.
And there is now 1 head coach. There have been about 7 or 8 openings this offseason for NFL head coaches. 5 people have been hired. None of them have been black as a head coach. And so when we look at it from that perspective, it is clearly alarming. Now, let me get down to this. There are people that are saying Brian Flores doesn't have much of a case. You heard the National Football League say it's meritless. I'm not buying that one bit. You know, I'm familiar with court proceedings and what have you, and there's something called summary judgment. And I believe that man is going to get past that. He is going to get past summary judgment, and there is going to be some explanations that the NFL is going to be required to disseminate.
Oh yeah, he said the face of baseball should speak English. Yeah, no, that's bullshit.
7 months into my socialist
Live in a fucking global world, man. It's not happening. Like you're not gonna be able to pull that off. All right, so that's enough on NFL's racism.